Thank you, Cherie. Hey, look who's here. Laurence Hale. He's principal and managing partner, along with Jim Zahansky at Weiss, Hale, and Zahansky Strategic Wealth Advisors in Pomfret Center, Connecticut. Laurence, good morning to you.
Good morning, Gary. Thanks for having me.
Good to have you here today. We always start, when we get together, we like to start with a market recap, which has been quite interesting the last few months.
It has. I would say 2019 is off to a good start, unlike the close of 2018. Obviously, the last quarter of last year was one that we wish we all could forget. But markets seem to have reversed themselves pretty strongly, with major U.S. stock indices up in double digits already this year through the end of last week, which is pretty amazing. And, even international markets have had a nice rebound, with developed markets up a little over 7% and emerging markets up just under 7%. And even the bond markets had a good year. There's been a lot of concern about increasing interest rates. And what happened in the last quarter of last year is rates came back down a little bit. They've continued to kind of trade in a range, and we've actually seen the bond market generate some positive returns, low single digits, but not a bad start to 2019.
All right, let's talk about your website. We need to remind people, you've got a great website, a lot of resources there. Tell me about it.
Well, we've got a page on our website at www.whcwealth.com/resources. And, for the topic that we're going to be talking about today, which is one we all love, which is about taxes, we have a lot of good information on there that people can use. One in particular is a piece of 11 questions to ask when choosing an accountant. Things like, what's their background? What kind of certifications do they have? To make sure that you're positioned well. So we try to keep things relevant, timely, and there's a lot of great information that you can find there, including podcasts of the show.
All right. So we're talking about taxes today? Taxes.
Yes.
Taxes. And tax efficiency is the phrase that you've mentioned here today, which sounds interesting. All right. Tax planning. Give me the basics here.
Well, a lot of people get a lot of anxiety when they think about taxes. Yeah. It's none of us like to file taxes, but this year in particular is a big year. Some of the biggest tax changes in decades have occurred. But as with all of our process, we see planning for taxes as part of our process. So this plan well, invest well, live well process that we use to help our clients, taxes are a big part of that. Understanding how they might impact your goals, how you might be able to proactively take charge of some activities around whether it's your investment account, whether it's around real estate, those types of things, and working collaboratively with your accountant and see them as a partner. And not somebody who you're just going to drop off a file folder and say, here you go, I don't know what I'm doing. There's a lot of good conversations and some positive outcomes that can come from being proactive.
All right. So, again, it's like tax resolutions. Everybody likes to make resolutions at the beginning of the year. And then, a few months into the year, perhaps some tax resolutions. You mentioned being organized, and that's should be one of your resolutions. What else?
Absolutely. Making sure that you're keeping on top of things throughout the year, keeping good records if you're making donations, if you have business expenses, keeping a good track on those, understanding where your withholding is, particularly if you're having money coming out of taxable accounts like IRAs or 401k plans. Making sure that when you work with your accountant that you're having a conversation and not just going in February or March and dropping things off, but proactively having a conversation maybe at the end of the year to see if there's anything that you can do prior to year end that may improve your tax situation. And then just being really vigilant about security, particularly around your Social Security number, your tax ID number. There's a lot of activity going on, particularly online through email, and making sure that you're staying on top of both what's on your tax return, but what communications you're receiving and keeping safe.
I have a regular visitor here for tax preparation services, and that's always high on his list. is the scams.
Absolutely.
And every year it's a new bunch of scams, and it's a little more sophisticated each year, and they're just trying all different things. So
absolutely,
it's very, very timely to mention that. SALT deductions. Tell me about that.
So the state and local tax deductions changed this year. So prior, you were able to take as a deduction if you were itemizing essentially your property taxes and income taxes on a state and local basis when you're filing your federal return. But this year, they're capped at $10,000. For if you do have some high tax bills, you do have a cap. The bright side of that is they also increase the standard deduction. So for an individual, it's $12,000. For a married couple filing jointly, it's $24,000. So it gives you the opportunity to potentially have a better total deduction than you might otherwise have. But if state and local were a big piece, you do have a cap there.
And, of course, everyone wants to know when they talk to you how to minimize their tax exposure. And what are a couple of things we can do here?
So, one action we take is make sure that people are contributing as much as they can to retirement accounts, particularly 401ks, IRAs, those types of accounts where you may get a pre-tax deduction. That's important. The other thing is the potential to convert retirement accounts such as IRA rollover accounts or IRAs into Roth accounts. There may be some tax implications now, but it can pay off significantly in the long run, depending on your circumstances. And then in terms of managing your investments, making sure you're using investment vehicles and taking activity, making transactions that take taxes into account. We never like to have taxes drive good investment decisions, but we definitely factor those into how we can improve the outcome for our clients.
And second homeowners, too. What about people with two homes?
Well, there's, depending on how you have your second home structured, if it's a rental property, and there's some limitations to how much you can use an investment property for personal use, you may be able to take some deductions on the expenses, possibly depreciate the value of that second home. If you're using it as truly a second home, living there 4 or 5 months a year, that may not necessarily be possible. But it's something, if you do own multiple properties, definitely have a conversation with your accountant and understand what benefits you might be able to reap from that.
Okay, so most important points to remember as we wrap up here today.
I think stay organized, stay vigilant, and look at tax planning as part of your planning process. It's something we incorporate every single day into our conversations with our clients. Make sure that you're being proactive, because unlike investment returns, markets go up, markets go down. Taxes are something you can generally have some degree of control over. We can't necessarily make tax law, but once we know what the law is, we can adjust accordingly and make good decisions.
All right. Good advice always, Laurence. Thank you. Weiss, Hale, and Zahansky, Strategic Wealth Advisors, Managing Partners, Laurence Hale, AAMS, CRPS, and Jim Zahansky, AWMA, offer securities and advisory services through Commonwealth Financial Network, member FINRA SIPC, a registered investment advisor. Fixed insurance products and services offered through CES Insurance Agency. They're located at 397 Pomfret Street, Pomfret Center, Connecticut, 06259. The number 860-928-2341. Weiss, Hale, and Zahansky, Strategic Wealth Advisors, do not provide legal or tax advice. The tenured financial services team strives to support clients in achieving their financial life goals. Content is sourced and researched through Dow Jones & Company, Incorporated. For more information regarding wealth management and customized financial planning with Weiss, Hale, and Zahansky, check out their website, WHZWealth.com. Also, you have weekly columns in the Villager newspapers, too.
We do. We try to get a lot out there. Our website's really our hub, but try to every month have something that's new, pertinent, relevant, and actionable for clients to take a look at.
All right, sounds pretty good. And, of course, local. I love the whole local angle, too.
We love it, too.
Speaking of local, we are delighted that I know your partner, Jim Zahansky, is very involved in Frog Rock basketball.
He is.
What is he, like the commissioner of Frog?
He's, I don't know, the emperor. What do you? But they have their big games this weekend. I understand you're going to broadcast.
We're going to broadcast. We've been covering them for the last couple of years, and Jim says, "Hey, let's broadcast the game," and we're going to. We're going to put the spotlight on the little kids, and we're so excited. This Saturday at Rectory School, 2 championship games at 4:15 and 5:45 p.m. presented by Weiss, Hale, and Zahansky. And this is what locally owned business does. They live in the community. They give back to the community. They coach in the community. They make things like the YMCA happen in our community. So I think that's pretty cool. I love that business circle of life thing. It's a good thing here, isn't it?
We love living here. We love working here. We love playing here.
Yeah,
so.
it's all good. Hey, and nice to see some action across the street, too.
It is.
It? Yes.
Yeah.
Scaffolding, and yesterday they were working on the smokestack and all that stuff. There's a lot of cool things happening.
It's amazing.
All right. Good to have you here today, Laurence. Thank you, and have a great day.
Thanks.
It's 7:51.